Greetings everyone, and Great here with another Advanced Wars by Web replay. Spawn, Alan, let's see, is this a diagonal game? Nope, it's a top versus bottom game. Sorry, it took me a moment to realize that. Spawn on the south side is the Gray Sky Vombo. We've got MinTaxer, Invictus. Spawn on the north side is the Brown Desert. Yes, Brown Desert Max. We've got Kardel1111. And this is in fact a high funds map, so both players can deploy out aircraft carriers. This map does have a strong side, weak side mechanic. Got the one base here versus two bases there. Nice and simple. Both players have a seed port there, probably for a landing. Try to get this comm tower for additional 10% firepower. But this pipe seam will have to be cleared out by either battlecopter, artillery, or a battleship. Probably not battleship. And the thing is with Max, well, he can't get on top of the airport to range it with a artillery, so he's going to have to capture the airport and get out a battlecopter there. So Max does have a bit of an issue so far on this game. Tank deployed down south. This game, since the high funds, going to mitigate action, and looks like overall Max is charging the center of the map. Goes for tank over here to engage the tank. And of course, Vombo has gone for an APC. Tank, infantry, artillery, and other APCs migrating over to the east in order to support that flank after dropping off a unit in the west. Tank, and infantry unit there. Does strike the tank there, out of range of artillery. Battlecopter by Max, which could be heading towards the pipe seam, or could be sitting straight in the simple map. If one goes for 8, goes for a battlecopter in return. Max's battlecopter gets plus from some firepower. Vombo's gets +10, so relatively comparable. Interior battlecopter infantry. And that's the only comm towers in the map as well, so only one comm tower per person and get to work for it. And the artillery's moving around a pretty good there workplace to protect his flank. Got tank, battlecopter, tank. Battlecopter does get strikes the pipes with it. Looks like it does 24% damage per turn, so take, what, 3 more turns? No, we'll take 4 more turns since it'll be 24%, not 25%. In Days Ruined, the pipe seams and other destructible terrains did get a slight buff, having a grand total of 100% health rather than 99%. Battlecopter, artillery, and ATR and tank. High funds means things can be deployed on pretty quickly. Both players still below 40,000 income. This tank seems to be struck pretty hard next turn. The ATR just simply advance forward. I think this tank pushed too far forward. And now got a Neo tank, and T-copter. Oh yeah, you can go for T-copter rather than lander. I'm an idiot. Why on earth would you ever go for a lander? T-copters would be so much cheaper. And the pipe sees down 27% health. He could pop his power in order to help improve his destruction rate of that pipe seam. But that would be quite expensive. And now goes got a Von Hulk bomber and tank. Was a mech and infantry. Does double tap the pipe seam there and drops infantry unit off. Does strike that unit there. Interior able to zone out this battlecopter. He could sack the battlecopter on the battlecopter, and that's what he does. Max Force is available, which does give him +1 movement range on his direct units. They do have a fighter deployed in the field, trying to eye for a bit of air superiority. And the bomber just one-shots the pipe seam. Medium tank anti-air artillery. The fighter can just simply head down south, avoid anti-airs, and start going towards the bomber. They stay in the middle, allow it to go left or right and follow the bomber. Max almost has his Max Blast available. In high funds, the powers and superpowers can be deployed very quickly, so Bomb Bolt's Ex Machina is going to be relatively common. And Max could go for multiple Max Forces on Max Blast. Medium tank, battlecopter infantry. So I just want to take a quick look at something. Yeah, I just had to double check, make sure Max did in fact get +1 movement range on direct units. I was like, wait a second, does he get +1 max range? Because Jake does not get any movement range on his power, but gets a strange +1 indirect max range. He's like a hodgepodge of a mixed bunch of stuff. I can't really understand Jake's design overall. It's supposed to be bonus damage in planes, but then his power and superpowers affects only ground units, and while his day-to-day does affect air units. Oh well. They added a bit more terrain seals, I guess, in Dual Strike. And they didn't add anything involving a Sandstorm Specialist. Right now I'm wondering, how many people know what a Sandstorm does in Advanced Force by Web? Because honestly, what was it? -1 indirect range, wasn't it? I can't remember what a Sandstorm does. And even Advanced Force by Web, does even Advanced Force by Web even have Sandstorms? I actually have no idea. Anti-air mech. And battleship. Von Bolt is feeling pressure. He goes for a battleship to help protect this flank. You know Max is in a good position if Von Bolt goes for a emergency battleship, which can be very effective, don't get me wrong. It will cover a very good amount of map, but it can't go any farther forward than this. And maybe limited these 3 tiles for a very good amount of time. Looks he's going to charge, he's going to let the battle... We got now the Max Blast, he's going to try to close the game now. The battleship could be struck. Anti-air strikes anti-air. Fighter strikes bomber. Knocks it out of the sky. We'll see Ex Machina. Of course, it didn't break through hitting that tank or that artillery there. I am curious though. Was that bad luck? It was more leaning towards bad luck there, so that thing may be close to 1% health. Actually, no, it's more likely that he was going to roll bad luck there. After all, 5, that's 7% range. It's more likely to be below 5% than above 5%. So that was statistically likely an outcome there. Not bad luck, just not lucky enough. Battlecopter does strike battleship. Get a bit of damage there onto it, reduces damage output, or at least reduces repairs. Strikes are pretty good that time. Now it reduced damage output and repairs. These front lines are all a mess. I have no idea where Ex Machina is going to land. This looks like an Ex Machina formation. It will likely strike right here. Yes. So, Ex Machina there did land. Good shots there. Anti-air will strike fighter. And hits the bomber there as well. Good strikes there. Takes out the fighter there. Allows his battlecrafters free reign. Neo-Tank strikes the Captain Infantry there for a little bit overkill. Neo-Tank strikes Neo-Tank. Very nice. Max may have overextended there because now he has not a whole lot of support there, and his support is far behind. He will be able to flip this property, couple properties next turn, which is good. But everything here is going to be disintegrating since the reinforcements will not arrive anytime soon. You'll have one base of work, but he may need to go for a war tank on this space next turn, or this turn. Bombo in turn 220,000. Max starts turn 167. No sandstorms? My apologies, I saw your comment. It's one of those things like I was wondering, did they have sandstorms in Byway? I have no idea. Because Days or Dual Strike, it reduces indirect max range by 1, if I remember incorrectly. It was such a rare thing to see in the campaign as well. And who are from Earth Blades of random weather? Even versus skirmish mode versus AI. In Days of Ruin, it just simply reduces firepower by 30%, which is quite significant, especially Penny. Penny's an A tier to S tier CO. Vulnerable max insert of 102, vulnerable starts 204, so they're pretty even at the moment. Max, of course, was forced to withdraw from this region, just lost all the support. Did go for another Neo-Tank up here, so it has a good amount of armor up north. Some of these outlying units getting picked on off. Neo-Tank will push head down south and merge the 1 health Neo-Tank. Great shots there, clean up the overextended units quite nicely. Prevents the capture there. Right now it's at 50,000 versus 42, so Max does have a decent income advantage. Fighter there. Anti-air infantry. Interesting, another capture there. I heard one of his own units capturing somewhere, though I may have mistaken. Oh yeah, just 1 capture progress there. Excellent. 9 more turns and he shall win. And he gets picked off. A little bit of boost there. Onto the river rather on the mountain. Volvo has a very healthy number of anti-airs here. Anti-air. Battlecopter, Neo-Tank, and infantry. Max Blast is almost available once again. Charges forward the fighter there. It seems like a safe enough spot there. In fact, I always see one. What is Max only has 1 anti-air, no fighters in the field, so this fighter has free reign of basically the entirety of the map. Max needs to get that fixed. Bomb Bolt goes for Bomber because his opponent's lacking any sort of anti-air. And this fighter is able to lock down the airport as well, so Max has to pull out anti-airs this turn. Or an upcoming turn. And the Bomber could head over the right side and force this base to consume his turn building anti-air as well. And there's a Max Blast available. Will we go for this turn? Probably not a good turn for it, honestly, the more I look at it. Surrounds the Bomber. That may be able to be picked off there. An 8 health Neo-Tank or Battlecopter may go take out the 7 health infantry unit there. Goes for a fighter. Bomb Bolt could engage the fighter there. You know, I'm not actually sure. How effective is the defense stars of the airport? It's 3 defense stars, right? Let's see. It will approximately leave it with at least 3 to 4 health at 6 health counterattack. It may be worth it, though I'm not sure. So I set the fighter there. Not a bad idea. Leave 8 health remaining, which means it'll be up to 5 health returning. Yeah, that fighter was definitely not a good call. He should have gone for anti-air here and here. Neotank, battlecopter, infantry, and anti-air. I think there's a little bit too many anti-airs over here. There's, what, 4? Granted, one's more in the middle, but still, 3 should be plenty against the 3 battlecopters. Hopefully. Fighter. And let's just going to try to pump out fighters to stop the fighter. With pumping out fighters, effectively, Bomble could attack this fighter there, and that'll probably do the most amount of damage. Either way, it's going to be even trade of fighter for fighter in this engagement. Does decide to hit that fighter there. It'd be up to 9 health next turn, then he can always finish this one off the 2 health, pushes for the 9 health one, and eventually merge the 2 health one later. Remember as well, if you over repair it with the join, you get the leftovers put directly back in your fund, so it's not too big of a waste. Fighter, tank, infantry, anti-air. Both sides a good number of neo-tanks on this fighter flank. 2-0 fighter does take that one out. And there's a lot of anti-airs in the field, so this fighter has to be very careful. Yeah, it can actually not move too far forward, like right there. Of the bomber in this region, probably should send the fighter over to the left rather than to the right. Decides to do that, very nice. Bomber, tank, anti-air. They both players have even 46,000. Both sides sitting on up. Still max blast available for +2 range, movement range. Another bomber. Anti-air, tank, infantry. Max looks like he's trying to really push through this side. This side has adequate force for defense. Not like he's fighting against a good number of tanks. Both sides have a good number of tanks over here, as well as anti-airs. Battleship strikes the infantry unit there, and decides to pick off some of those infantry units there. Remember as well, if Von gets his Ex Machina, he can lock down a flank, and then he can simply charge it. And because he'll effectively have a double turn on that flank. So Max has to make sure that he has to pop a superpower before Von Bolt, because he cannot have entire flank gets locked down. Von Bolt spreading out his forces, while trying to keep away from the increased max blast range. Bomber, triple tanks. Does get a shot there. He may have Ex Machina available. He also crushes through one flank. This flank's largely wounded. So if he gets Ex Machina, it will probably land on this bomber here. It will likely land on the bomber there. Or maybe this battlecopter here? It's really hard for me to determine where an Ex Machina will land. Neo-tank, with another fighter here. This fighter may have been one brought back. I was more trying to see what Ex Machina would land. Looks like he's just going to try to stall out this flank and then push forward in this flank. Okay, here's Max Blast. Let's see how well this goes. Bombbolt right now is 453 versus 408 with his day-to-day income. They're pretty even at the moment. Does strike the regular tank there. Anti-air strikes infantry. Ex Machina, of course, was likely going to be available. Does base block. Fighters get some good damage there. Strikes that anti-air there. Hits the tank there. Infantry there. He's eating some pretty good chunks there. He's also, his units are pretty scattered right now. His Ex Machina will be mitigated. Of course, Bombo could direct where the Ex Machina is going to land based on what units he kills. Popping it mid-turn or end of turn are both good possibilities, but he is going to pop it this turn. He pretty much has to. Max in turn of 440 evenly. Vomble starts with the slight discount of 1 penny less, 3399. He pops immediately. It did land right over here, which would deny reinforcements for Max on this flank, which could... that may be the best spot. It's hard for me to tell, say, which is the best spot. Takes the battlecopter, tank strikes tank, hits the regular tank there, regular tank there. Neo tank strikes tank, and frees the base there. Fighter strikes bomber, anti-air strikes bomber, fighter strike or anti-air strikes a fighter, bomber strikes an anti-air, battleship strikes anti-air, tank on anti-air, tank on anti-air, neo tank on neo tank. It's there. Remember as well, since half the reinforcements are locked down, he has effectively a double turn this flank. Bomber gets knocked out there. Medium tank gets struck. Neo tank gets struck. And it looks like Max has very little left of this flank there. Nukes the anti-air. Bomber, tank, tank, tank. And let's see now. 130-75 versus a staggering low 230. But the front line has collapsed, so he has a pretty good opportunity for a counterattack, but there's no real asset over here for a counterattack, and his majority of his assets over here are locked down as well. It's not looking good for Max. Yeah, that Ex Machina I think was devastating. He's going to pull back, reinforce, regroup his assets. And over here, his tanks could go strike some anti-airs, but there's even this mountain in the way. Pulls back units up here, but they're all in a very wounded state. Wounded fighter does hit the bomber. And did not do much that turn as well. It did about 3,000 damage, it seems like. Bomb bolts could be cleaning up some of the stuff. Also, only infantry on the weak flank there, and this flank is about ready to completely collapse. I don't think infantry was a good idea. He probably should have not deployed both that stuff, and should have gone a medium tank on that flank. Fighter will strike fighter there, and this will also drain funds, forcing his opponent to go for a chain of fighters again, like last time. Max force may be necessary this turn. Vomble is playing defensive here. He knows his army is still very scary, and he's going to play around his battleship. This is a key asset in this region, and this is his weak side. You don't have to win on your weak side. You have to win on your strong side in general, so him playing ultra defense like this is probably a good idea. It forces his opponent back. He has a lot of powerful assets now recovered, but his most powerful asset is, of course, his battleship. And Max has no counter to that battleship. Then splitting his attention in 10 different directions, which is not a good counter, because he won't run out of ammo being on top of a port. Mega tank to stabilize the weak side, that makes sense. He decides to take a counterattack there on the fighter from the airport. Takes out that same fighter. And Vombold has a number of wounded assets here, like these, this 2 anti-air. He has the airport somewhat locked down. He needs to advance this anti-air towards the airport and try to lock it down that way. But these anti-airs, as well as these tanks, are going to be very useful against the Mega Tank. Why? The Mega Tank only has 3 ammo. There's 1 shot, there's 2 shot, and there's 3 shots. Take those out, and then the Mega Tank is out of ammo and thus worthless. of course, if that means Max also has to make sure he ends his turn on a property to guarantee the resupply. And this Neo Tank is next to a city there, so that should be the Mega Tank's first turn. Go onto this property and nuke the Neo Tank. Max Blast is available, and we do have a Mega Tank over here to stabilize, and same thing as well. But this Mega Tank, I think, will be even more effective. It can just stay on the cities there as well. Now to mention, Ex Machina is very likely. Another Max Blast pull in the field. Does get some good strikes over here. Fighter in the region, so he has a counter the bombers. Mega Tank does go down. I think as well, Max is charging forward like this. But Ex Machina can lock down this assault, no problem. 2 Mega Tanks in this region. This anti-air can bleed off ammo off of one of them. Oh. And with that, Max has resigned. And Sand Grade saying, thank you for watching, and on to the next replay.